What if the loudest man in the room is invariably the weakest, his volume a desperate, hollow attempt to mask his own inner turmoil and insecurity? In a world that mistakenly equates noise with strength, what if true, undeniable power doesn't need to raise its voice at all? What if it is quiet, calm, centered, and profoundly decisive? This is the great and powerful paradox of the Stoic path, and today we will explore the art of speaking softly while acting with an unshakable resolve that shapes the world around you. Strong men speak soft, act decisive always. Compiled and published by Stoic Power. Lesson 1. Quiet confidence shapes strong presence. Imagine two distinct expressions of the ocean's immense power. The first is the crashing, chaotic, and incredibly loud surf that batters the shoreline. It makes a tremendous noise, a violent spectacle of foam and spray. It is full of furious motion, and it demands your attention with its roar. Yet, for all its sound and fury, its power is shallow, temporary, and contained only to the turbulent surface. It is a reaction to the wind and the shape of the seafloor, not a source of power itself. The second expression of power is the deep, silent, abyssal ocean. It makes no sound. It is perfectly, majestically still. Yet in its quiet, immense depths, it holds the true, world-changing power of immense pressure, of vast, unstoppable currents that govern the planet's weather systems, of a weight so profound it could crush steel. The loud surf is a fleeting spectacle. The silent deep is a fundamental force of nature. The inner conflict for many men is that we are relentlessly taught by our culture to equate strength and confidence with the crashing surf. We believe we must be loud, we must be boisterous, we must perform, posture, and dominate conversations to command a room and project an image of masculine strength. The painful and deeply ingrained problem with this belief is that this outward performance of confidence is often a thin, fragile veneer, a desperate and exhausting attempt to mask a deep and hollow insecurity. We feel a compulsive need to fill every silence with our own voice, to boast about our accomplishments, to interrupt with our own opinions, and to peacock our status because, deep down, we are terrified that if we were quiet, if we were still, we would be seen as weak, unimportant, or even worse, that we would be forgotten altogether. This constant performance is profoundly exhausting. It makes us hypersensitive to criticism and desperately, addictively needy for applause. It is the very opposite of true strength, and perceptive people, especially women, can sense the anxiety and insecurity simmering just beneath the noisy, turbulent surface. The transformative solution is to stop trying to be the crashing surf and to begin the profound, courageous, inner work of cultivating the quiet, immense, and powerful depths of the silent ocean within you. It is the journey of building a quiet, authentic confidence that emanates from a solid inner core of self-knowledge and self-respect, not from a loud, insecure outward performance. The core Stoic idea is that true confidence, a state the Stoics might have called euthymia or good cheer, rooted in a well-ordered soul, needs no advertisement. It is not a performance you put on, it is a state of being that you inhabit. It is born from deep self-knowledge, a radical self-acceptance of your own flaws, and an unwavering commitment to your own chosen values. A man who has done the hard, internal work to build this inner core does not need to prove his worth with his voice, because he feels it in his very bones. This inner solidity, this quiet self-possession, creates a powerful, magnetic, and deeply calming presence that influences a room far more effectively than any amount of noise, bragging, or bravado ever could. The benefit of this is that you are liberated from the exhausting and anxious work of impression management. You can simply be yourself, authentically and unapologetically. Your presence becomes a source of stability and peace for others, a calm anchor in a chaotic world, rather than just another source of competitive noise. People will begin to lean in to hear what you have to say, precisely because you are not shouting for their attention. The actionable step to begin cultivating this quiet confidence is to practice the posture of stillness. For 5 minutes each day, find a quiet place to simply sit or stand with a conscious, dignified stillness. Your posture should be upright but relaxed, as if a string is gently pulling the crown of your head toward the sky. Your shoulders should be rolled back and then dropped, releasing tension. Your hands should be still in your lap or at your sides. Your breathing should be slow, deep, and calm, originating from your diaphragm. Your only job during this time is to resist the powerful, modern urge to fidget, to check your phone, to distract yourself. Simply inhabit your body with a quiet, powerful, and unapologetic presence. Feel the ground beneath you. Feel the air around you. Be still. By consistently practicing this, you are training your nervous system to become comfortable with stillness and silence. You are teaching yourself on a deep physiological level that your presence alone is enough, that you do not need to perform or make noise to have value. You will begin to feel the quiet, immense power of the deep ocean within you, the unshakable calm that lies beneath the surface waves of daily life. I urge you to begin this simple but profound practice today. Discover the immense strength that lies not in frantic noise, but in profound stillness. As we cultivate this quiet physical and mental presence, we must also learn to use our words in a way that reflects this newfound inner strength. Our next lesson is on how calm, deliberate speech commands deep and lasting respect. Before we continue, please subscribe to the Stoic Power channel to commit to this journey of cultivating quiet, powerful confidence. Lesson 2. Calm speech commands deep respect. Imagine you are in a grand concert hall, anticipating a performance. A novice musician walks onto the stage. In a desperate attempt to impress the audience with his power and passion, he grabs his instrument and begins to play as loudly and as frantically as he possibly can. The result is a cacophony of jarring, distorted, and unpleasant noise. The notes are clumsy, the rhythm is chaotic, the audience flinches, they cover their ears, and they are repelled by the performance. The musician has made a fatal error. He has confused volume with skill, noise with art. Later, a true master takes the stage. He walks slowly, his presence calm and assured. He picks up his instrument with a reverence born of long practice. He plays with a quiet, sublime, and almost impossibly delicate touch. Every single note is perfectly chosen, perfectly timed, and delivered with a calm precision that is breathtaking. The audience leans forward in their seats, captivated, hanging on every single precious note. The quietness of his music is what gives it its immense emotional power, its weight, and its profound beauty. The inner conflict we face in our daily communication is our tendency to be the novice musician. The painful problem is that we often use volume, speed, and aggression in our speech to try and force our point across, especially when we feel that we are not being heard, when we feel insecure about our position, or when our ego is threatened. We raise our voice in arguments, hoping that volume will make our argument more persuasive. We talk over people in meetings, fearing that if we don't, our ideas will be ignored. We fill conversations with a torrent of fast, nervous, and often pointless chatter, hoping that the sheer quantity of our words will be mistaken for intelligence or confidence. But this strategy almost always has the opposite effect. Loud, fast, and aggressive speech is a form of verbal violence, and it triggers a defensive, closed-off reaction in the listener. It shuts down their ability to truly hear our message. It signals to them that we are losing control of ourselves, and therefore that our argument must be weak and based on emotion rather than reason. We are devaluing our own words by spewing them out like a fire hose, and in the process, we lose the very respect and attention we are so desperately trying to command. The transformative solution is to decide to become the master musician of your own voice. It is the deliberate, disciplined practice of speaking calmly, slowly, and with quiet authority, especially when you are under pressure. The core Stoic idea is that the state of your speech is a direct reflection of the state of your soul. A chaotic, reactive, and undisciplined soul produces chaotic, reactive, and undisciplined speech. A calm, ordered, and rational soul produces calm, ordered, and rational speech. The Stoics were masters of rhetoric and communication, but their power came from the unshakable logic and the profound composure of their delivery, not from emotional, loud displays. Calm speech is a powerful, undeniable signal of self-mastery and emotional control, and these are the qualities that naturally command deep and lasting respect from all people. The benefit of this is that you become an incredibly effective and persuasive communicator. By speaking softly and deliberately, you force others to lean in and listen more closely. Your calm tone acts as a powerful de-escalation tool in any conflict, allowing your message to be heard without the distorting static of aggression. Your words, because they are chosen carefully and delivered with calm precision, like the notes of a master musician, gain immense weight, authority, and impact. The actionable step to cultivate this skill is the tone and tempo practice. For 1 week, make a conscious effort in all of your conversations to speak at approximately 75% of your normal speed and volume. This will feel unnaturally slow and quiet at first. That is the point. You are interrupting a lifetime of bad habits. This deliberate reduction in pace and volume will force you to be more thoughtful about your word choice. It will give you precious milliseconds to think before you speak, and it will have a surprisingly powerful and calming effect on both your own nervous system and that of the person you're speaking with. By practicing this consistently, you will retrain your habitual communication style. You will move from being a reactive shouter to a responsive, thoughtful speaker. You will discover that true power lies not in being the loudest voice in the room, but often in being the calmest and most deliberate one. I challenge you to try the tone and tempo practice in your next important conversation. Become the master musician of your own voice. Calm speech is an outward expression of a calm inner state. But how do we build the inner fortress that allows for this calm to exist even when we are being provoked or tested? Our next lesson is on controlling our emotions to guard that inner fortress. If you found this lesson valuable, please like this video to help others discover the profound power of calm communication. Lesson 3. Control emotions, guard inner fortress. Imagine a great fortified city with a wise, patient, and serene ruler living in the central palace. This ruler represents your rational mind, your hegemonicon as the Stoics called it, your ruling faculty. The city is protected by high, strong walls and vigilant guards. Outside the gates, a chaotic, emotional mob, representing your own feelings of anger, fear, desire, and jealousy, often stirred up by external events, is constantly banging on the gates. The mob screams, it makes threats, it makes tempting promises, and it demands entry, seeking to overthrow the wise ruler and install its own brand of passionate, short-sighted chaos on the throne. The inner conflict for every man, every single day, is the constant battle for control of this city. Will it be governed by the calm, wise, and rational ruler in the palace who thinks of the long-term well-being of the kingdom? Or will it be overrun and ruled by the passionate, impulsive, and ultimately destructive mob at the gates? The painful problem is that for many of us, our inner fortress is in a constant state of civil war, and the emotional mob often wins. Our speech and our actions, our most important decisions, are dictated not by our highest reason or our deepest values, but by the emotional chaos of the moment. A perceived insult, the mob of anger, makes us lash out with hurtful, bridge-burning words. A fear of failure, the mob of anxiety, makes us hesitate, procrastinate, and retreat from a necessary challenge. A fleeting desire for pleasure, the mob of lust or greed, makes us act against our own long-term interests and the promises we have made to ourselves and others. When our inner fortress is constantly being overthrown by these emotional rebellions, we lose all semblance of self-control. Our lives become a series of reactive, inconsistent, and often destructive actions. We cannot trust ourselves because we know deep down that our reason is not truly on the throne. This lack of inner governance is the root cause of much of our suffering, our failures, and our inability to become the men we know we could be. The transformative solution is to establish once and for all your rational mind as the undisputed sovereign ruler of your inner fortress. It is the Stoic art of treating your emotions as important but often unreliable advisors, messengers, and even spies, but never, ever as kings. The core Stoic idea is the practice of separating impressions from assent. The raw emotion, the panicked report from the scouts at the gate, is just an impression. It is a proposition, a suggestion, a piece of often biased intelligence. The ruler, your rational mind, has the final say. He can listen to the scout's frantic report. "We are being attacked. This is a disaster. We must retaliate now." And then calmly say, "Thank you for the report. I acknowledge your urgency. Your message has been received. Now, stand down and await my orders. I will assess the situation with my own eyes and consult my own principles before I decide on a course of action." The Stoic warrior trains himself relentlessly to create this space between the emotional impression and his rational assent. He refuses to believe every panicked, exaggerated, or self-serving story his feelings tell him. The benefit of this is that you gain true self-mastery and inner freedom. You are no longer a slave to your own passions. You can feel a strong emotion, even a painful one, without being compelled to act on it. This creates a profound sense of inner peace, stability, and power. You become the calm, unshakable ruler of your own domain, able to make wise, long-term decisions that are aligned with your values, even in the face of immense emotional pressure. The actionable step to practice this is the emotional intercept technique. When you feel a strong, potentially destructive emotion beginning to rise, your job is to intercept it before it reaches the throne room of your actions. You must pause. In that pause, silently label the emotion to yourself with scientific detachment. This is the feeling of anger arising. This is the feeling of fear. This simple act of labeling immediately separates you from the emotion. Then, you must ask your rational mind, your inner ruler, this critical question: what is the wise and virtuous response here? What would the best version of myself, the man I am striving to be, do right now? This simple questioning process is the powerful act of bringing the decision-making process back to the throne room of reason. You are respectfully listening to the mob, but you are reasserting your own rightful authority over them. I urge you this week to practice this emotional intercept on one strong emotion. Catch it, label it, and then consult your inner ruler before you act. This is how you guard the fortress of your mind. A guarded fortress is a peaceful one, which allows for clear thought and, ultimately, for decisive action. How does this inner calm translate into outer effectiveness and strength? Our next lesson is on how decisive action defines true strength. Please comment below and share one emotion you will commit to intercepting this week. Lesson 4. Decisive action defines true strength. Imagine a master swordsman in a life-or-death duel. For a long time, he may be perfectly still, his breathing calm, his body relaxed but ready, his eyes observing every subtle shift in his opponent's posture. To a novice watching the duel, this stillness might look like hesitation, indecision, or even fear. But it is the furthest thing from it. It is a state of profound, focused deliberation. And then, having seen his opportunity, he moves. His action is a blur, a single, fluid, and explosive movement. His strike is swift, precise, and utterly decisive. There is no wasted motion, no second guessing, no hesitation. His quiet, calm deliberation has been instantly transformed into a singular, powerful, and effective action. This is the perfect harmony of speaking soft and acting hard. The inner conflict we face is that we often get stuck in one mode or the other. We are either all talk and no action, or all mindless, impulsive action with no preceding thought. The painful problem is that many people get trapped in the debilitating state of analysis paralysis. We talk endlessly about our plans. We read another book. We watch another video. We weigh 100 different options. We ruminate on all the possible things that could go wrong. Our softness in speech and our tendency for overthinking bleeds over into a softness and a chronic hesitation in our actions. We fail to make the bold, decisive move that is required for progress in our lives, our careers, and our relationships. We become men of theory, men of commentary, men of endless planning, but not men of action. This leads to a life of stagnation, frustration, and a deep-seated corrosive regret for the opportunities we failed to seize. Not because we weren't capable, but because we could not bring ourselves to act. We have the sword in our hand, but we are too afraid, too uncertain to ever swing it. The transformative solution is to cultivate the ability of the master swordsman, to learn to move fluidly and without friction from a state of calm, quiet deliberation into a state of swift, committed, and decisive action. The core Stoic idea is that philosophy is fundamentally a guide for living, not just for abstract contemplation. The great Stoics were not men who sat in ivory towers. They were men of the world. Marcus Aurelius was an emperor who ruled the known world from the battlefield. Seneca was a powerful statesman and one of the wealthiest and most influential men in Rome. They believed that the entire purpose of all their thinking, reading, and reflection was to enable them to act more wisely, more courageously, and more effectively in the chaotic arena of real life. A decision, once it has been rationally made and aligned with one's values, must be followed by decisive, committed action. To do otherwise is a betrayal of reason itself. The benefit of this is that you become an effective force in your own life and in the world around you. You get things done. You solve problems. You build things. You stop being a passive spectator of your own life and you become its active, powerful participant. This fusion of calm thought and decisive action is the hallmark of a truly powerful and respectable person. The actionable step to bridge the often vast gap between thought and action is to use the action trigger. Once you have made a rational decision to do something, you must immediately create a trigger that commits you to the first small physical step. Do not leave it as an abstract idea floating in your mind. An action trigger is a specific if-then plan that makes the first step almost automatic. For example, instead of just deciding I should start exercising, you create the trigger. Tomorrow morning, when my alarm goes off, the very first thing I will do before my brain can argue is put on my running shoes, which I have placed by my bed. Instead of I need to have that difficult conversation, the trigger is at 10 a.m. tomorrow, I will pick up my phone and dial the first digit of the number. This simple technique overcomes the immense inertia of procrastination by making the first step incredibly small, specific, and automatic. It is the beginning of the swordsman's decisive, committed strike. I challenge you this week to apply an action trigger to one important decision you have been putting off. Move from thought to committed action. Decisive action often involves setting firm boundaries with others to protect our time and energy. How do we protect our quiet power? By creating steadfast boundaries. That is the subject of our next lesson. To support our channel and our community of men committed to a life of action, please subscribe to Stoic Power. Lesson 5. Steadfast boundaries. Protect silent power. Imagine a sacred temple, a place of profound peace, quiet reflection, and valuable treasures. Around this temple is a boundary marked not by aggressive spiked walls, but by heavy, ancient, and immovable stones. These stones are not hostile. They do not shout, they do not threaten, they do not apologize. Their power is in their quiet, unyielding, and clear presence. They silently and calmly communicate to all who approach. This ground is sacred. This is a place of order and respect. Behave accordingly, or do not enter. They don't need to do anything else. Their steadfast, silent presence is enough to protect the tranquility and the treasures that lie within. Your inner peace, your focus, your time, and your self-respect are your sacred temple. Your personal boundaries are the silent, steadfast stones that must protect it. The inner conflict we face is our deep-seated fear that setting boundaries is an aggressive or selfish act. We believe that to protect our temple, we must build high, angry walls with spikes on top, which feels unkind. And so, to avoid being seen as hostile, we make the fatal error of building no walls at all, leaving our most sacred ground completely exposed. The painful problem is that a man without steadfast boundaries becomes a temple with no walls. His quiet strength and his inner peace are constantly being eroded by the careless or intentional intrusions of others. We allow their demands to dictate our time, their drama to disturb our peace, and their disrespect to diminish our self-worth, because we have not placed any stones to mark where our sacred ground begins. We say yes to requests that drain our energy and violate our principles because we fear the discomfort of saying no. This inevitably leads to a life of deep resentment, where we become angry at others for crossing lines that we ourselves never had the courage to draw in the first place. Our silent power cannot be maintained because its container, our own resolve, is full of holes. The transformative solution is to understand that calm, firm, and consistently enforced boundaries are not aggressive acts of war. They are the necessary, peaceful, and profoundly self-respecting act of placing the sacred stones around your temple. The core Stoic idea is that a man who cannot say no calmly and with finality cannot say yes with any real meaning or integrity. His actions are not his own. They are coerced by his fear of disappointing others or his desire to avoid conflict. A boundary is the practical application of your self-possession. It is a quiet declaration that you are the sovereign ruler of your own life. The benefit of this is that you become the calm guardian of your own peace and energy. You teach people how to treat you by demonstrating, through your steadfast boundaries, how you treat yourself. The poison of resentment disappears, replaced by a quiet confidence and a deeper capacity for genuine, non-obligatory kindness. Your relationships become healthier because they are based on mutual respect, not on your silent, resentful compliance. The actionable step to begin placing these stones is to practice the quiet no. This is a skill that requires training. This week, find one small, low-stakes opportunity to say no to a request that you do not want to fulfill or that is not aligned with your priorities. The key is in the delivery. You must do it without a long, rambling, apologetic, self-deprecating explanation. A simple, polite, and firm, "I'm sorry, I won't be able to do that," or "Thank you for thinking of me, but I'll have to pass on that," is perfectly sufficient. You do not owe anyone a detailed justification for protecting your time, your energy, or your peace. This practice will feel uncomfortable at first. You will feel the powerful urge to over-explain and justify yourself. Resist it. The quiet no is a powerful exercise in self-respect. It is you, silently and powerfully placing one of the boundary stones around your sacred temple. I urge you to try it this week. Boundaries are about creating a consistent and predictable structure. But how do we build a character that is consistent in all things, thereby earning true and lasting authority in the eyes of others? Our next lesson is on this very topic. Please comment below and share one area in your life where you could benefit from practicing a quiet no. Lesson 6. Consistent character builds earned authority. Imagine a great and powerful river, like the Nile or the Amazon, which has shaped continents over millennia. Its incredible power and its authority over the landscape come not from a single violent and unpredictable flash flood. A flash flood is chaotic, destructive, and temporary. The river's true, world-changing power comes from its deep, consistent, and predictable flow over vast stretches of time. It has carved the deepest canyons and created the most fertile deltas, not through momentary bursts of rage, but through millennia of unwavering, patient, and reliable consistency. You can build a great and lasting civilization on the banks of a predictable river because you can trust it. You know where it is going, and you know it will continue to flow. A man's character is like that river. The inner conflict we face is that we often want the authority and the deep respect of the great river, but we behave like the chaotic and unreliable flash flood. The painful problem is that inconsistency is the absolute enemy of trust, and trust is the sole foundation of all earned authority. If we are calm and patient one day, but angry and reactive the next, if we are decisive in one moment, but hesitant and fearful in another, if we keep our word on Monday but break it without thought on Wednesday, we become the unpredictable flash flood. No one, including ourselves, can build anything of value with us or for us. People cannot depend on us. They cannot trust us. And therefore, they cannot truly respect us on a deep level. This lack of a consistent character means we can never earn true authority. We might have a job title that gives us temporary power, but we will lack the earned authority that makes people want to follow us, trust us, and confide in us. We will be seen as unreliable, and deep down we will not even be able to rely on ourselves, which is the most painful truth of all. The transformative solution is to commit to the long, patient, and deeply rewarding work of becoming the great river. It is the understanding that true authority is not granted by a title or demanded with a loud voice. It is earned through the demonstrated, undeniable, and consistent evidence of a reliable and virtuous character over a long period of time. The core Stoic idea is that we are the sum of our habits. Our character is not defined by our grandest, most noble intentions, nor by our worst, most regrettable mistakes. It is defined by the consistent, day-to-day pattern of our thoughts and actions. The Stoic seeks to build a character that is so consistent in its virtue that his actions become predictable, predictably honest, predictably courageous, predictably calm, predictably reliable. He strives to be the great river, not the chaotic flood. The benefit of this is that you build a form of authority that is unshakable, because it is based on who you are, not the temporary position you hold. People will trust your judgment, they will value your opinion, and they will respect your decisions, because you have a long, documented track record of consistency and integrity. This is the source of real, lasting influence and true leadership. The actionable step to cultivate this is to start a character ledger. At the end of each week, perhaps on a Sunday evening, take 10 minutes to reflect on the past 7 days with radical honesty. In a journal, create 2 columns. In one column, list the instances where your actions were in perfect alignment with your stated values, where you spoke soft, acted decisively, and kept your promises. In the other column, list the instances where your alignment broke, where you were reactive, hesitant, inconsistent, or failed to uphold a boundary. The goal is not to achieve a perfect ledger or to berate yourself for your failures. The goal is to become an honest, unflinching accountant of your own character. This weekly review will show you your real-world patterns, not just your idealized self-image. It will highlight where your flow is strong and where your banks are weak and in need of reinforcement. This awareness is the key to making conscious, incremental improvements week after week. I challenge you to keep a character ledger for 1 month. Become the honest accountant of your own virtue. This brings us to our final lesson, the ultimate integration of all these principles. How do we combine our gentle words with an iron resolve in every situation? That is our final lesson. If you are ready to build a consistent, trustworthy character, please like this video. Lesson 7. Gentle words, iron resolve. Always imagine a velvet glove, exquisitely made, soft to the touch, and gentle in its appearance. Now imagine that this glove is covering a hand made of pure, unbending iron. The touch of the glove is soft, gentle, and capable of handling the most delicate things with care and compassion. But the structure beneath that glove, the iron hand, is unyielding, powerful, and absolutely firm in its purpose and its principles. This is the ultimate metaphor for the fully integrated character of the Stoic warrior. He has the gentleness of the velvet glove in his speech, his demeanor, and his compassion for others. But he possesses the unshakable strength of the iron fist in his resolve, his discipline, and his commitment to his values. The inner conflict we face is our mistaken belief that these 2 qualities, gentleness and strength, are mutually exclusive. We think that to be gentle and compassionate, we must be weak and compromising in our resolve. And to be strong and decisive in our resolve, we must be harsh, aggressive, and abrasive in our speech and our dealings with others. The painful problem is that this false dichotomy limits us immensely and forces us into one of 2 incomplete and ineffective modes of being. The man who is all velvet glove becomes a people pleaser. He is kind and empathetic, but he has no boundaries, no firm center, and he cannot be relied upon to make hard but necessary decisions. He is easily manipulated, and despite his kindness, is often respected by no one. The man who is all iron fist becomes a tyrant or a bully. He is decisive and strong-willed, but he is harsh, unempathetic, and often cruel in his interactions. He may be feared, but he is never truly respected or loved. Both of these are incomplete, unbalanced, and ultimately weak ways of being a man. The transformative solution is the final and most beautiful synthesis of all the lessons we have explored. It is the art of becoming the velvet glove over the iron fist. It is the ability to consciously and skillfully combine a gentle, compassionate, and soft-spoken demeanor with an absolute, unshakable, and decisive inner resolve. The core idea is that this integration is the highest expression of the Stoic ideal and the 4 cardinal virtues working in harmony. The gentleness comes from justice and temperance, our ability to be fair, kind, and in control of our own passions. The iron resolve comes from wisdom and courage, our ability to see the right path clearly and to walk it without flinching, despite fear or difficulty. The Stoic warrior is no threat to those who are peaceful and well-intentioned. He is a source of calm, kindness, and reason. He is the velvet glove, but he is an immovable object, a mountain of iron, to those who would challenge his core principles or attempt to violate his reasoned boundaries. His kindness is not weakness, it is a choice. His calm is not passivity, it is a discipline. His soft speech emanates from a place of such immense inner strength that he has no need to shout. The benefit of this is that you become the most effective and respected kind of leader, partner, father, and human being. You are able to connect with people with deep empathy and compassion, making them feel safe, seen, and heard. But you are also able to make difficult, necessary decisions with clarity, strength, and resolve. Earning their unwavering trust and confidence, you are both kind and strong, a rare, powerful, and beautiful combination. The actionable step to practice this integration is to use the gentle and firm communication model. In a situation that requires both compassion and a firm decision or boundary, you consciously state the gentle, empathetic part first, followed immediately by the firm, resolute part. For example, in a professional setting, I understand that this project delay puts you in a difficult position, and I truly empathize with the pressure you are under, velvet glove. However, the deadline is not negotiable, and my team will need the materials by Friday to proceed, iron resolve. In a personal setting, I hear that you are hurting, and I care about your feelings deeply, velvet glove. And my decision to maintain this boundary is final, iron resolve. This communication model allows you to be compassionate without ever compromising your principles. It is the direct, verbal expression of the man who speaks soft but acts with decisive strength. I urge you to find an opportunity to practice this integrated response this week. This is the culmination of our journey. It is the art of becoming the man whose gentle words are backed by an unshakable iron will. We have journeyed through the 7 great lessons of the Stoic path, from the quiet confidence that shapes our presence to the ultimate, powerful integration of gentle words and an iron resolve. This journey teaches us that true strength is a profound paradox, found not in loudness, but in quiet composure, not in aggression, but in calm decisiveness, and not in a hard heart, but in a strong, compassionate, and principled will. Thank you for taking this time to explore this powerful philosophy of character. If this video has served you on your journey, please like this video, comment with your greatest takeaway, and subscribe to the Stoic Power channel for more wisdom on building a life of profound strength, integrity, and purpose.